guys! Today we are going to be working on gridding our picture so that we can get to checkpoint number 1 on our grid project. Okay, so after you have received your picture that I've printed off for you, you are going to need a ruler and a pencil to work on your lines here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start across the top, and on my ruler I have a little space. I have a long line, and then that's where the inch starts. So whenever I'm using my ruler, I want to make sure that I'm not using the very edge of my ruler because I have this line right here. Some rulers, the edge of the ruler actually means 0, like the ones that we use in class, the metal ones that we have. But if you're using a wooden one, a lot of times they have a little space here before it starts. So if you have a long line before your inch starts, that's where your line up should be. Okay, so I'm going to line up my line here, and I see that my paper across here goes to 4, but not quite 5 inches. Okay, so it stops right about here. Now, what I'm probably going to do on mine, because I have kind of a tighter crop on both sides, is I'm probably going to extend this picture just a little bit to here. This is going to be 3/4, right? So these long lines here show me quarters. So this is 1/4, 2/4, also known as half. This would be 3/4, right? So this side is 4 3/4. Okay, and so I'm going to extend that, and I'll just shade the rest of this space here to look like that. Okay, so now I'm going to make little dashes where each inch is at. So here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I'm going to move my ruler straight down here. Okay, the reason why I want to do this is so that my 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3/4 ends up correctly. If I were to turn this, then I would have 1 inch up here, but I don't have 1 inch on this side, so it would throw my measurements off. Okay, so from here, I want to just drag my ruler straight down to the bottom. I'm going to line it up again here with that line at the edge of my picture. So we're not going from the edge of your paper, but from the edge of your picture. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then remember we extended it to 3/4 on mine. Okay, and now I'm going to connect those lines. You have to have lines on both sides in order to make sure that you have a perfectly straight and even line. Sometimes if you don't have them on both sides, you might have a slightly diagonal line instead of a nice straight line. So I'm going to draw going straight across like this, lining this up. Okay. Last one here, and I forgot to do my extra little bit that I added up here. Okay, and the reason why I added just a tiny bit, you can kind of see the line here. The reason why I added a tiny bit to this right here is because it's easier to continue shading this in like this is here than to take a little bit away, because I think it would be too close to my marshmallows here. Okay, so I want to be cognizant of that. So here are my first lines. Now I'm going to measure across this way. I'm going to line up my 0 line here with the edge. Again, if your ruler starts, if it doesn't have that line, then you would start it at the edge, but mine does. So I'm going to pay close attention to that. And this one here, it goes 7 inches across, so that's easy to remember. Easy to work with. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 at the end. Okay, then I'm going to pull this straight down and do the same thing. So I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 on the end. And then I'm just going to connect those again. Now, usually whenever I'm doing this, once I know that I have my lines correct, I kind of press a little bit harder to make sure I can see my lines throughout my picture. On your big paper though, that I'll show you here in just a second, you want to draw your lines super light. We'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, and my last line here. Okay, so now remember I had 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3/4. Okay, so 4 and 3/4, if I were to put that as a decimal, would actually be 4.75 by, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. Okay, so this is my original measurement right here. Okay, and I'm going to multiply these both by 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply my first number and my second number by 2. So 4.75 times 2 . Let's see. Wait, hold on. Did I do that right? No, 15. See, this is why I teach art and not math. 15. And then I have 8, 9. Okay, so 9.5, so 9.5 inches. I always like to double check. I do the math in my head, but then I'm like, I don't know. And then 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, so what you'll do at this point is you will bring me your paper. You'll show me this, okay? And I'm going to see your first numbers that you have and then your new numbers. And you're going to get a piece of paper that's cut to this new number, okay? I'm going to go do that now. And I'm back. So I have divided this up. I have my measurements. I have my nice new big paper cut to these measurements. And now I'm going to make these squares 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay, so on my paper here, I'm going to line up the edge, my 0 line here, and I always like to make sure that my half lines up, or my number over here lines up the way it's supposed to. Okay, and I'm going to make a little dash every 2 inches. So that means I'm counting by 2s. I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I have that little weird one right there, right? Because remember I have this little extra space right here on mine. So I'm going to have a little weird extra space over here as well. Okay, I'm going to go straight down and I'm going to do another set of those. So I have lines that help me keep it straight. I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, and then 8. And now I'm going to connect those lines. So they're kind of, you can kind of see them there, right here. I'm going to connect these lines going straight across. So I line these up. And now on this one, you want to draw super lightly. So you're going to hold the very end of your pencil and you're just going to drag your lead across so lightly. You're not going to press down hardly at all because you want these lines to be very easy to erase. Okay, so mine is so light it's hard to see. And I got to continue my line on here because my ruler is shorter than my paper. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see, but if you look up close here, you can kind of see it. Let's see. There we go. Barely. It doesn't want to focus. It's super light. Okay, and that's how we want it because you're going to be erasing all of these lines later. These are just guidelines for now. And so we don't want to press too hard because it's going to be hard to erase. And then your picture is going to look like you're looking at it through like a screen window or jail or something like that. Or maybe some like chain link fence. Okay, and we don't want that. We want it to be nice and beautiful. So I'm drawing these lines here. Okay, and last one. Just like this. Okay, so I have all of my lines that go this direction done. And now I'm going to measure across. And we're going to do 2 inches again. So again, I'm going to line up my 0 line on my ruler with the edge of my paper. I'm going to make a little mark. I'm going to make a little mark at the 2-inch intervals. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then mine continues on. So I'm going to put a little mark where the 12 is at, right here. Okay, and then I'm going to make another set of lines down here. Same thing, line up my 0 with that line right there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, and now I'm going to draw those lines going across, just like I did for my first set. Okay, remember, nice and light. I'm just dragging the lead across so it's so light. And actually, my dashes end up looking a little bit darker than my lines do, which is okay. Because usually those small dashes are easier to get rid of. Okay, and last one. There we go. So I am done. I am ready for checkpoint 1. Okay, so if you're ready for checkpoint 1, you will bring this paper to me to show me that you have it all gridded out and that it's good to go. I will put your grade in the computer and then you will move on to checkpoint number 2.